Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
What's you writing there, Lynn?
I just remembered something that we could talk about that I didn't necessarily have something specifically in front of me.
I see.
And knowing how often my old memory fails me these days, I thought I should jot it down.
All right. Now I got something to look forward to, don't I?
Yeah. Indeedy. So Chris Potter's with us because, of course, it's Friday, thank God. And it's one of those days that the date lingers. Although November 22nd.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you...
Dart.
That laugh sounded like a 90-year-old
Yeah, I'm
man.
working on mine.
What is it?
I'm working on mine.
It sounded like who's that old actor? Walter Brennan.
Oh.
You don't know who that is?
I'm
Oh
sorry.
yeah, you'd know him in a minute if you saw him.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay, so where were we? Okay, so it's 50th, and you know what I was thinking today that I don't want to talk about it. Do you?
Good. Yeah, because I don't have like a I remember
Personal.
where I was, that story.
Well, but even
I was some
that.
genetic material located in two separate bodies at that point. So, yeah.
Okay, sure. Make us all feel extraordinarily. I was in high school.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so the thing is it's just too much. I can't even. I can't every time I see a picture of the motorcade where they're like this, and he's about to be, half his face is about to be blown away. I can't even, this day, I can't bear to look. I don't want to hear it. I don't want, and it's just amazing how much sort of people are just, but I guess it is history, and maybe all of this stuff makes other people who, like you, were not in existence know some of the history, do you think?
I guess.
Because I just don't understand why people who did live it want to relive it. It might have been the worst day of a lot of folks' lives. I mean, in that wasn't specifically personal to them.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't understand how anyone can... I can't take anymore. Although I did hear, and I didn't catch the network, some TV network, what would it be, is today running, it's probably a cable station, all of the coverage of the time.
Right.
That would be interesting to me. So all that black and white coverage of the whole thing. Don't you think you would like to see that?
Not particularly, no.
What?
Let me just say what I think about this. Like, obviously, historically, a very important event. What I'm about to say does not take away from that at all. However, I do feel like there's a certain...
Too much.
Baby boomer nostalgia about all this, that this was a touchstone for a particular generation that happens to be demographically more numerous than the rest of us. And so, like so many other baby boomer things, it is being thrust down our throat.
Disagree.
That's fine, because you are a baby boomer, so.
That's
exactly what I thought you would say.
Because first of all, most baby boomers were also too young or not.
I don't know, let's see.
I'm one of the oldest baby boomers.
Yeah. No.
And I was like 15 or 14 or
That's
something.
still...
Okay, I have to tell you, I think, hey guys, back me up on this. Because baby boomers, anybody born after 46 or beyond, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so you guys born in the 30s, you tell me if this is a baby boomer thing. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know.
So much gets blamed on us.
Yes.
And just because you were...
I shouted out who killed the Kennedys, and in fact, it was the baby boomers.
It was you and me.
Not just you. I wasn't around.
It was you.
That song was also recorded before I was born. Thank you very much. So,
well, do you feel that? I'm sorry. I really. No.
I just the other thing too. I'll just say
it changed everything.
Yeah,
How
we
can
lost
you
our
say that
innocence. I'm told. Why am I being a jerk about this? I don't know. I just.
Well, no, I was saying. He doesn't get any respect as a columnist. It's Reg Henry. But the other day he wrote a piece that I didn't really read, but I saw but I saw the headline, and it was he was saying anniversary fatigue. This
and it's his paper who puts this all over
every paper.
Yeah, and this is just 2 weeks after there was like, I picked up my paper like the Sunday Morning Post Gazette a week or two ago, and I was like, this paper could have been printed in 1978. It was all this. It was another Steelers of the 1970s thing. It was some book excerpt. They ran 3 successive days.
That's right.
And then there was some other thing there about like, where are the leaders? Because it used to be that we had all these white people in Pittsburgh telling us what to do, and now who knows what's going to happen? And they were quoting in that story. I guess this one's been working on me for a while. They were quoting in that story as an expert on regional leadership, Jeffrey Romoff. He was like the single most quoted guy in that whole story. He was the guy who was. I can't believe you didn't see the story. It was ridiculous.
I didn't see what story was this?
It was a story front page. It was right next to the Steelers Super 70s excerpt. And it was, where are the leaders of our region now? Because it used to be that we had all these white guys over at the Allegheny Conference calling the shots, and now who knows who's in charge?
Oh, so this is a frightened Peduto's now the mayor thing?
It was weird. Like, by the end, they were sort of like, well, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it should be. Maybe it wasn't such. I think it was Mackenzie Carpenter or whatever. And I was just like, but it was just like paragraph after paragraph of like, how great everything was in the Davy Lawrence era, when David Matter and all these like rich guys up on like the 45th floor or whatever.
Oxford Center.
Yeah, and the great thing was you flipped to the inside and it was like, here are these photos, and it was just like almost to a person over the course of 40 years. I mean, they had like Elsie Hillman and maybe like 1 or 2 other people in there, but it was just all these white guys for decade after decade after decade.
Well, so why would Jeffrey Romoff be interviewed?
Because he's the lead. I guess because he's the leading employer, although he has 0 employees.
Well,
I mean, if you're such a leader, go hire some people.
Do you feel better now that you did get that off your chest?
I think a little bit. I mean, I just read it and I was just like, you have got to be kidding me.
Well, stop and think about the dying off of newspaper readership, and that's probably see that's their audience, right?
So maybe we agree that some demographic is driving this, even if we don't exactly agree on what that demographic is.
That it's the baby boomers' fault.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's not easy being. I saw
Here we go. No, wait, I want to hear what it's not easy.
I saw an obit today. It was an obit, and I don't know, and it was just a regular obit that the so-and-so, and I don't know who it is, and I'm not a member of the greatest generation. That was the first lines, a member of the greatest generation. And my back went up. It did. I thought, well, what does that mean? That every person born between the years and are somehow heroic?
Yeah.
What kind of crapola is that? Or that everybody born between 46 and 71 or whatever the baby boomers are a bunch of layabout, self-centered jerks?
Right. I'm a Gen Xer, so we were the hatest generation.
Okay, but find all of these. It's bull, and you shouldn't fall into it. And it's media construct, and you're better than that, Chris Potter. You can't blame an entire generation for some newspaper articles you don't like. Jesus. God.
It reminds me. That thing about the Greatest Generation reminds me. There was a few months ago. They had a B-17 bomber come through town. They give these flights on.
Yeah, didn't you get to go?
I did. It was fun. And but they also had a couple guys there who were veterans of World War II who had actually flown those planes, and one of them. And these were the guys who were they were Greatest Generation, right? They survived the Depression, they fought the war, they beat the Nazis and all that. And this guy was just like, that Greatest Generation label is a lie. Yeah, right. He's like, the Greatest Generation was the Founding Fathers. That's what he said.
Good for him.
Yeah, he was very.
I think this need to categorize like that is nonsense.
Yeah, so you can sell people stuff.
And I'm thinking, exactly. So thank you very much, Tom Brokaw. Jeez.
Yeah, well, he got a book deal out of it, and
we got saddled with this. Do I know a lot of people from the Greatest Generation. They are dying. My parents are part of that. My father was. My mother is. And
that's a nice thing to say.
Well, but I didn't know what the verb was. I said my parents were.
Yeah, right,
and I didn't want to imply that my feisty old mom.
Just roll past it. I mean, there's no easy way out of this.
Tense can screw you up.
Sure, yeah. Mm.
So, obviously, as a baby boomer, I grew up, those are all the parents I knew, right?
Yeah.
There were some serious jerks in that generation. There were some crooks and horrible people.
Yeah.
And self-centered narcissists. I mean, what kind of bull is this stuff, this collective?
Yes.
I don't even understand what these generations are anymore. Why, millennial? I don't know what they are. I don't even know which one my own son is in.
He'd be a millennial, I think. Yep.
God, what stupid nonsense. All right, I think I'm done now.
All right, good. We got a call. There we go. Just in time.
Hey, caller.
Go ahead.
Hey, I'll make this quick. Tom Brocroft's full of shit. I think the greatest generation is the Civil War generation.
The Civil War generation.
That's what I say.
Hey, all right, thank you
That's
very
my
much.
story, and I'm sticking to it.
All
See you
right.
later.
Thanks a lot.
That's good. I personally am going to vote for the most maligned generation of all, the flapper generation. I think they were the best. All those women all of a sudden were feeling feisty. Oh, God, yes.
Not now. Nobody maligns them now, do they? I mean, at the time,
maybe not now because nobody knows their history beyond, yesterday.
Yeah.
God. Okay, Chris writes, baby boomers are considered 46 through 63. Ah, so there again. We died with JFK.
Jesus.
Okay. He just made it in, or she. Chris, I don't know your gender. I was born December 63, and like I told you last week, I've been consumed watching all of this Kennedy stuff. I've learned because you didn't remember any of this.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
I have learned so much more from all the specials. As a matter of fact, she wasn't born.
That's true.
She was born a month later.
She was in utero.
Yeah.
Or he was in utero.
She's learned a lot, or he. Will you please tell me? I'm sure you probably have asked you this before, but you see, my memory doesn't hold. I've learned so much more from all the specials that I've watched, I'm sure. I think the older I get, the more I appreciate what happened. Obviously, I was around for the 20th, the 30th, the 40th anniversaries, but I've been more interested in this one. The special on PBS about when Cronkite broke the news that Kennedy had died was just fast. And that did point out this thing, how what would happen today?
Yeah.
I mean, they knew priests had given them the last rites. They still didn't announce the death, right? Mainly because of what our media is now compared to what the media was in. After I watch you tonight on 4002, oh, God, someone shoot me. I'm definitely tuning into all that Kennedy stuff tonight. The more I talk to people around my age and even younger, I have the same feelings on this as... well, I'm good. I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad that people are learning then from this. Somewhere I read, if this happened today... how the Twitterverse would, how we would learn about this, and all the misinformation. Can you imagine the misinformation?
Right. It would take about 0.3 of a second for somebody to blame the first Muslim. That would be. Well,
and they also said that Zapruder would have. He would have had it on his cell phone. He would have uploaded that immediately. Right? I mean, it's just. Oh my God. All right, let's stop. I can't take it anymore.
See, you said you didn't want to talk about it, and then you wanted to.
Okay, I'm done. Oh, Ray says, hey, Potter.
Yeah, here we go.
The assassination is my earliest memory. The stunning, profound sorrow of the women in my family formed something in all of us. They actually ran outside. What do you mean? They didn't want to be seen?
And outside the house.
Yeah. I've never seen that since. I don't know what it represented, but I can still feel its impact. All these Irish women in the street.
I'm being a jerk about it. There we go.
Stop it.
Oh, sorry.
We always had pictures of JFK on the wall and busts of him on the mantle. You are being a jerk about it.
I accept
and listen,
the
I'll tell you, coming from Ray, that means you're being a jerk.
Ray's never been shy about telling me when
Ray is the voice of often 97.5% of the time of reason.
Yes.
So Ray has spoken. You're a jerk.
Thank you, Ray, for writing.
But a lot of people do have that. It was the first time I saw my father cry. So we watched our parents. Yeah, and it was my parents' 20th anniversary.
Really? Today is your parents' anniversary then?
No, it's the next day, the 23rd. Oh. The 23rd. But it was a big anniversary. They were, and I just, every time it's why I never forget their anniversary, because it was like this.
Right.
Oh, God. Okay, stop. We're done. We're done. Now, the big news.
Yes.
This is so weird because Jared Day from CMU was here on Wednesday, and I was laughing about the fact that Harry Reid was sticking his bony finger up in the air and saying, "I'm thinking about that nuclear option." Caller. Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Not as if anybody cares to hear about it, but I'm going to tell you the house I grew up in. That my parents purchased before I was born, and then I grew up in. They moved into the day after Kennedy was shot, so the same day. What was the date? Oh, your parents' anniversary.
23rd November.
23rd. Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was that. Even though I was born 6 years after the Kennedy assassination, I am inexorably linked to that memory because every time my parents talked about their first house and the house I grew up in, it was related to because it was the day after Kennedy was shot. So just a little different.
Well, I am shocked to hear that your parents did not. Well,
you got to move in.
No, maybe the movers were called.
My parents hated the Kennedys.
Oh, okay.
And my parents were. They were Democrats, and it's not as if it was not political. It was because my parents were serious blue collar people, and they thought the Kennedy mystique was just a bunch of BS.
Okay, all right.
Thanks
for
the
call.
Bye.
Thanks for the call.
I'm sorry we had to go there.
Anyway, as you were saying.
Okay, so we were laughing about. And I was saying it's like bad parenting.
Yeah.
I'm dead next time you, and you never follow through. You never follow through. And then I even read this thing I saw online, some guy who had seen the article and had commented, it has as much threat as a fart in the wind, I believe is what he said. And we laughed. A fart in the wind, a fart in the wind. Well, 24 hours later, the old fart pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
I, for one, am happy. I know there'll be times when I'm very unhappy about it, maybe later. But here's an opportunity to actually start moving things through this constipated Congress.
Yeah.
Okay, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, they're used to look. The fact is that Democrats have never availed themselves of this tool the way Republicans have. No. So yes, is it conceivable or even likely that there will be payback for this? Yeah, but on the other hand, it's not like we were stopping all of these. George Bush got all of his guys on the D.C. Circuit Court, which is kind of the ground zero of this thing. So what are they going to do? I mean, I guess they could propose even bigger. Shitheads to be, when they get their crack at appointments or whatever. But
they seem to be implying that, with these ridiculous Senate rules, that there are kinds of things they can do. Okay, so you took that wonderful wrench we threw in out. We're finding some other wrenches.
Right. I mean, well, why don't you just let? I mean, the thing that kills me is it's not even the judicial ones. It's the appointments to his own administration.
That is
a guy is supposed to.
You win.
President wins, you get to pick who you want to work with. And the notion that, look, I'm somebody who thinks Catherine Sebelius should be fired, for example.
That's two of us.
But I don't think he should do it unless he's reasonably confident that he can get somebody in there to replace her.
Now he can cancel.
Well, we'll see. Because if the Republicans are still talking about throwing other monkey wrenches into this, then, but still, it's just, so you have this thing and it's actually inhibiting accountability.
Do you know, in the history of this nation, if you look at all the times the filibusters were used to block an appointment or a nomination, I guess is the proper word, half in the history of the nation, 50%, and I think
just a little under
50%,
very close to,
during the 4 years, 5 years that Barack Obama has been president.
And that's not because he picked terrible people.
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, because he's such a moderating, wanting not to cause too much trouble and getting his guys through, he didn't pick firebrands. He didn't pick...
Right. Well, I hope he does now. That's the other thing. I'll be very curious to see, because this will be the test, actually. Because you know what they're going to do. They will come and they will pick firebrands on their side. And what I'm worried is this is going to be another example. They've already done it and they'll continue to do it.
Look what they did to the Supreme Court.
And my concern is that it's going to be another one hand behind the back thing from our Democratic Party, even though now we ought not to have to worry about what Republicans think about these things.
But the other thing they did, that I found unconscionable, is in regard to the regulatory agencies that exist. The National Labor Relations Board, which Republicans don't want to be there. They don't think that workers should have some place they can go for redress of their grievances. How dare they? And so the NLRB is there. What do you do to cripple it? You absolutely refuse to allow any of the, I forget what their title is, the NLRB.
I think they're
commissioners. You refuse to allow any to be put through. Consequently, they didn't even have, I think, a quorum. They didn't even have, they couldn't do, the NLRB couldn't do business.
Yeah. And then you had things like recess appointments whose constitutionality then gets challenged. And so all of a sudden, all of these rulings are up in the air because you have hamstrung the executive branch's ability to make the appointments. Then you have a sort of pincer movement with the judicial branch where you hamstring the ability of the people who are on there to get anything done.
It's an outrage. Hello?
Hey, there's the dynamic duo. Good morning, folks.
Good morning.
Good morning.
George from Moon here.
Hello, George.
Hello. I just wanted to stick in a couple of comments. One of the agencies the Republicans don't want to see staffed either.
Consumer finance, whatever that consumer agency is.
Yeah, well, here's one that hasn't had a head for like 2.5, 4 years. 4 years.
Yeah.
ATF.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
I
would think a pretty critical department.
No, those are those jackbooted thugs you hear about.
Yeah, those are the jackbooted thugs, exactly, that would enforce firearms, bombs, and stuff like that may be used by nefarious people.
Are we sure about that? Are you sure that relatively recently someone finally didn't get...
No, what happened was they accepted the interim or assistant director to fulfill all the tasks until a full-time director is finally approved, maybe in the next millennia. Yeah, he's an interim. He's still an interim. He's the vice director of the bureau.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whenever they don't want this they don't want guns regulated. They don't want labor to have any seat at the table. They do not want consumers to be able to have representation when they think only business should. So they literally, even though those are all agreed upon by the Congress of the United States, signed into law by the President of the United States,
Yeah.
I mean, in this regard, I got to say, they are indefatigable.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The other thing they're not doing with the ATF is they're not funding it properly.
Yeah.
No.
They refuse to fund it as well as to staff it.
Right.
They've frozen it at a level that goes back like 10 years.
Right.
And I think that's critical for, national security and for domestic tranquility and a number of other issues. But I want to squeeze in another thing about the Republicans that I heard. Sessions.
Yeah.
Senator Sessions said, get this is the other rationalization for not appointing prospective candidates. He said, it's not that, of course we don't have objections to them individually. They're highly qualified. He says, the reason we're against it is because we don't think you need that many.
Right.
And I thought, how outrageous could that be?
Right.
What do you mean?
You guys say now that there should not be that many, but yet you never bring that up before the committees to discuss that.
Right.
And making a credible case to maybe reduce appointees or anything like that. You just pulled this out of your butt at the last minute.
Right. So you could
just
accuse
outrageous stuff from a senator. I think was a former judge in the judicial system, and from Alabama, and who just does that kind of talk.
Yeah.
And that kind of crazy rationalization, just ridiculous.
The whole thing was, I mean, with the D.C. Circuit Court, you know what I mean? It's like, well, we don't really need that many judges. It didn't stop our guy from appointing.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Appointing that number, but all of a sudden now we got to winnow this thing down.
Just a phony reason.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
it's
when
the
these
opposite.
guys lose respect.
Yeah. It's the
Among
opposite
of.
If
you know about this, you just lose total respect for these people that are playing these dirty games and speaking falsely about stuff and not. But among people who aren't knowledgeable about this, it's right over their head, and they have no concept of what's going on.
You know, it's the opposite of FDR trying to pack the court.
Right. They're trying to starve it.
Right. And FDR wasn't right, and
right.
They
They're both
are
dirty
not
tricks
right.
in government.
That's right. Hey,
thanks for the call, man.
Thanks, George.
Good talking.
Bye. Oops.
Looking out for you, baby. Who loves you?
All right, guys. A little breath of air, and believe me, these breaks have been really short lately.
Yeah.
Thought it was the Christmas season. We're supposed to be having lots of commercials. What the hell?
Let's not call attention to it.
All right, okay, don't. All right, okay. We'll be back in about 16 seconds.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
Go to the all-new bergbargains.com for great deals on gift cards from your favorite local restaurants, bars, museums, attractions, and shows. Log on now for great deals from Ibiza, Atria's Verde, the Improv Comedy Club, and City Theater. The all-new bergbargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains, bergbargains.com.
Just in time for the holidays, Little's Shoes is your UGG headquarters. Little's has the largest selection of Uggs for men, women, and children to stay warm with shearling-lined boots, shoes, and slippers. Don't forget to get your hats, gloves, scarves, and more. Bring the entire family to view one of the largest in-store UGG shops in the U.S. All available at Little Shoes, Pittsburgh's largest family shoe store. Forbes Avenue in Squirrel Hill or littleshoes.com.
Now it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
That's nice.
Oh, my God. Speaking of national security.
Yes.
Okay, so George Zimmerman's on the loose again, and Jane Orie is soon to be. Everybody.
Yeah, in February.
Watch out. They're letting her out early. I was surprised because I saw that her term was 2.5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, what does that mean? 2.5 to 10 years, that's a hell of a span. And then it turns out she doesn't even serve 2.
Yeah, right.
So what's the point of all that?
I mean, that's
normal.
Atypical for people to.
Okay.
I mean, they always quote, newspaper stories always quote the maximum range in situations, but it usually ends up being the minimum.
Yeah.
And then for good behavior and whatnot.
And she's been very good.
Yeah.
Apparently. And they have decided that she will not do again what she did before, but that's because she now can't be elected.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Plus, she doesn't get her pension, right? So.
Right. I wonder what she's going to do.
Ah, boy, I don't know. Gosh. I'm not going to stay up late worrying about it, that's for sure. There's about 6 billion people who deserve sympathy more than Jane Orie does, so I'm gonna save my dwindling reserves of compassion for them.
Boy, I so agree with that. Let's leave it there. Well, maybe she can visit. Oh no, what's her name is sprung too, the sister. Okay, well,
for now.
I came upon this quote, and it's unclear who said it, but I think it's Helmut Schmidt.
Ach, du lieber.
Yeah, he was the
Chancellor of West Germany in the 1980s, if I recall correctly.
Wow. Well done.
Thank
Did you
you.
get that? Okay.
Well, that was my coming of age.
Helmut.
Jawohl.
Although it's possible Willy Brandt said it. I can't tell from this.
What?
And Willy Brandt.
No,
wait,
that was-
Helmut Schmidt is still alive?
Is that right?
Yeah, he's like 120, and he's still functioning and stuff like that. Anyway, here's the quote, though, and it's almost as good as your quote, which was,
One of my better ones.
serious time. It was
Silly people in serious times or something like that.
unserious people
Yeah.
in serious times.
All right. Helmut.
Here it is. Get this. Too often, we enjoy the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought.
Yes.
Well, don't you think that's good? Why are you
I do.
pa?
I agree.
And I think most people, I mean, they take on opinions.
Yes.
Well, so-and-so said, so now that's what I think too. And I think we all do that.
Sure.
To a certain extent.
Absolutely.
I'd like to think that I have learned to do some due diligence on my own, but I think generally we just sort of vacuum up other people's opinions that we have decided that they know what they're talking about, so we'll just accept them, right?
Speaking of which, have you talked about our boy Jim Quinn and his show at all?
I have not. Go right ahead.
No,
Well,
I was curious what you thought about it all.
I was, first of all, surprised to see, for those of you who don't know, we're talking about a long-time Pittsburgh DJ who turned into talk show host, who turned into lunatic right-wing talk show host.
Yeah. I think he broadcast right out of this booth.
Yes, and
Right
I've been
out of
told,
where we are
I've
sitting.
been told I'm sitting where Mr. Quinn sat.
Yes.
We used to work at the same outfit for
Yeah,
a while
that's
there,
right.
so I know
Yeah.
him. I knew him. I haven't seen him in ages. And incredibly, I read he and his little female sidekick,
Rose Tennant.
were canned.
Unceremoniously,
Yeah,
one
just
would say.
dropped.
Yep.
And I was, first of all, surprised because I thought that was sort of a big show for the people who had them in their employ. And my second reaction was, of course, unabashed delight at, the removal of some, what I consider, air pollution. So what's your, it was just about money, as
so.
usual. It was just about money.
That station is not, this is 104.7.
That's the right-wing talk station.
Yeah. And, they're...
Is that owned by the same people who own
It's Clear
KD?
Channel.
KD.
Yeah, it's Clear Channel who
bring us all the wonderful talk radio that we enjoy here in Pittsburgh now.
I've been interested because it's like it's been sort of interesting watching the fans of that show go ballistic.
So what are
to
they
speak,
doing?
almost literally. There's a lot of complaints. We're going to boycott 104.7. Da 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 da. There's a lot of conspiracy theories about how this is some sort of backdoor fairness doctrine that the Obama administration is somehow doing things like that. And if you look at it, and I took a look at some numbers. The problem these guys have. This is a problem for right wing. This is a problem for right wing talk. They all took a big hit after 2012, the election. And they've never fully recovered from that. But I think the bigger thing is not just so much the number of listeners; it's also the demographic of those listeners. And they are old. They are old, and getting older all the time. And some of these guys just don't. Rose and Jim talking about any social issue. First of all, they're completely out of step with increasing majorities of the American people. Anything they talk about immigration or whatever, also out of step. And so I just it's a apparently there was some discussion. Their contract was up and they couldn't come to terms, and the station just said,
goodbye. Who needs you?
And it is funny. I sort of tweeted this out, because there was some talk of Representative Tim Murphy was like, we need to bring back Quinn and Rose, which was hilarious because Tim Murphy is exactly the kind of rhino who they despise. And he's out there tweeting like, well, we need to bring them back. And I just sort of retweeted and I just said, it's too bad there isn't some sort of federal doctrine whereby we could ensure that a wide range of viewpoints were aired without having to worry about, what some private company decided was in its best bottom line interest.
God.
So it has been sort of, look, clearly I disagreed with everything that guy said just about. And he was also, as somebody who worked with him, there were people in this office who had just personal bones to pick with him.
He was a jerk.
Yeah, and so in that sense, I feel bad when people lose their jobs, period. It's maybe not quite so... Again, there are people who get my sympathy who are in line well before he is.
Well, a wag here keeps saying...
Shh, don't mention. What did he say?
What?
What did the wag say?
Funny.
It is funny. He says, I got a great idea for a new show. Quinn and Lynn. I don't like the billing, but
right.
That show would last about 2 seconds.
Yeah, somebody would have to dry clean the furniture and remove the entrails.
That would be ugly.
Yeah.
That would be serious.
And he comes in strapped, too, so watch out.
He carries?
Yeah.
He's carrying all the time.
Yeah.
He's out of his cotton-picking mind. Here is a guy who, believe it or not, used to be sort of a dope-smoking, hippie lefty when I knew him.
Yeah. Did you guys get along back in those days?
I didn't pay any attention to him. I did not get along with him. We were not friends. I was on the AM station. He was next door on the FM station. However, what was I going to say? I don't know either.
You got along?
Oh, what happened to him when he turned? Do you know when he turned?
Yeah, after the Liz Miles lawsuit.
Not Liz Miles.
Oh, sorry.
Liz Randolph?
I'm sorry. Yeah. Liz Miles was somebody else from that same time, though. But yeah, anyways. Yeah.
Liz Miles was on KDK television.
Thank you. Yep,
and then she went to TAE television.
Right. Sorry.
However, Liz Randolph was, again, Quinn always works with girl sidekicks. And she was, but that's what radio
I do the
had.
same thing. Sorry. Go ahead. That was rude.
But so she was on Quinn's show, and he also had...
It was Quinn and Banana, was it not?
Banana, Don Jefferson.
Yeah.
They had a DJ show in the morning, regular DJ kind of show.
Yep.
And she brought a sexual harassment suit against them. Yep. And this is in a day and age when this was a very new concept. But she had tolerated a lot of crap from them on air, which, by the way, I'm sure still goes on, all the time. And they lost that suit. And Quinn went from being a liberal to a conservative because he felt what?
Unjustly
accused and maligned and whatever. But that was his turn. Wow.
Yes.
Well, Potter,
yes.
I was thinking that maybe I would take a quick break.
And then come back and finish strong in the last 15 minutes.
Yes.
It sounds like a plan.
Indeed. We have a lot of little things to talk about. We will they're all good, all interesting stuff, and we'll be right on them after this.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Confusion ever someone or have sudden...
Have you ever had sudden confusion, trouble speaking, or understanding someone?
It could be one of the 5 signs of stroke.
Sudden weakness or numbness of the face, arm, or leg.
Sudden trouble with vision in one or both eyes.
Suddenly having trouble walking or difficulty with balance.
Or a sudden intense headache that comes out of nowhere.
Don't wait. Call 911 immediately.
Time lost is brain lost.
Find out more at powertoendstroke.org. Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Download the CP Haps app to find out what's happening in Pittsburgh. It's the fun and free app that puts the most popular events at your fingertips. Text events to 77948 to download now. Available on the App Store and Google Play. Brought to you by Pittsburgh City Paper.
Have a question or an opinion? call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email Lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
All right. Okay, so here are the things.
The things. I'm ready for all the things. Go.
No, okay, so I can't remember who I was talking to the other day, but it was on this very show, and I was saying that, if I were younger and less rooted, I would, as a young person, definitely, it's so clear now, think about where I put down my roots in terms of which state I put my roots down in. Since I'm seeing now more than ever that it matters. I mean, I was just reading today about the cost of health care being offered to people in certain states under the ACA. Well, it's amazing, the difference. And it also depends on what kind of governor you have and whether... So if you live in a progressive state, you might end up paying, like, let's say, $300 a month. If you live in Wyoming, which I believe is now the highest priced insurance state,
right?
You'll pay $750 for the same, same
really?
stuff. Then there's also if you were gay, or if you're somebody for whom that tells you something, where a state stands. I mean, I'm sorry, if you had a job offer from blah and blah, you'd say, who wants to live in that godforsaken redneck idiot state, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm sort of stuck because I'm here. I mean, that's it. I'm not. But there was a piece in the front page of the paper today that I have to tell you, if I was a person with young children, would give me pause.
Yes. If it's the piece I'm thinking of, it is also, I do have young children, so it did give me
I know
pause.
you do, and I'm just going to read the first sentence. Because of toxic air pollution, Allegheny County residents have twice the cancer risk of those living in surrounding counties. According to a report released by the University of Pittsburgh Graduate School of Public Health Center for Healthy Environment.
Right.
Okay, and
within the county, that's highly concentrated.
And in hot spots, there's certain places in the county, that cancer risk can be as much as 20 times higher.
Yeah.
Okay. Why would you not put a for sale sign up outside your house immediately and get the F out of here? And I have to tell you something. One of my biggest health problems now is a health problem I never had before I came here. And I don't think I would have if I hadn't. And that is rather bad asthma, which could well lead to, pulmonary, whatever they call it, emphysema. And I often think, how am I going to die? How am I going to die? Well, that might be the way I die. But the number of people who live here who develop asthma, like this. So I know it's a great city to live in, and I know it's wonderful, and we're all having a fine old time here. But was it, and I'll ask this question maybe later, was it worth 10 years of my life? Was it worth 6 years of my life? I don't know. And I see no political will. I've screamed about this forever. My son had asthma.
I do.
You have asthma?
Oh, yes.
If that's the price of living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, then again, I say, F it. Right. I wouldn't come if I knew that. Hey, I wonder if, the Chamber of Commerce is going to put that out in all their fancy brochures.
Right.
And I see no political will to do anything about it.
Well, maybe a little political will.
Where? Because Pittsburghers think, look, our skies are blue now. Okay. But I mean, seriously, because you don't have to wash your clothes every day because they're black with soot. Soot does not mean.
I was wearing a black suit.
a black suit
covered in soot.
But. No, I'm pissed. This is one
I
thing
agree.
I'm angry. I'm angry that this happened. to me.
Yes.
Poor innocent me. Who knew that when I took that job at WTAE television?
Just a fresh-faced young woman getting off the train.
I didn't know.
Meeting Sally Wiggin there at the depot.
That it would be
Nah.
Yeah.
The way you live, it would have been something else. No, look, hey, I had this moment. My wife will tell you this. We went to Boston this past summer, and it was as hot. I mean, it was like the hottest weekend of the year, and it was absolutely broiling in Boston, and yet I had no respiratory trouble the entire time we were there. And this was in the heart of Boston, and it was remarkable to me. It was hot. We were down in the subway tunnels a lot, and I had less trouble than I do here
on a regular day.
And so there's a real issue. I would say there is at least there has been some improvement. You are seeing now the shutting down of some of these coal-fired plants that are a huge part of the problem.
You know what, though? This cracker plant that we want so
badly, that is
Let
a
me tell you
serious
something.
concern.
The cracker plant that Governor Corbett and Fitzgerald and everybody here is just I don't know if Fitzgerald, because it's not in his county, is it?
Yep.
Going wild to get. That cracker plant, ladies and gentlemen, yes, it will offer jobs at a price.
Right.
At a price.
Right.
It is going to pollute the air around that area just like the mills were back.
Yeah.
If not worse.
It's a serious problem.
But we don't care because it's all about money now.
Well, yeah. I mean, remember, it's not even in Allegheny County. That's the thing there. I mean, the problem is all of these issues are pollution doesn't respect state municipal boundaries.
No.
So there's really so the people who are downwind are the ones who end up suffering, but they are also the ones who really have almost no
political
control over it whatsoever. And you do see political will when it comes to, there has, the EPA has been working on some of these issues, again, despite Republican opposition. But what can you do? Locally, I mean, there's been at least some kind of nods toward this. Bill Peduto has put forward legislation back as a counselor to limit diesel emissions from construction sites. It's nowhere near sufficient to the need, but it does suggest that there's at least some will. I just think it's a real difficult problem because the source of these things is not often in the same place that the impact is felt. So you have a sort of disalignment of incentives there. The people who want to do something are not in a position to. Very often.
Every time I see something,
but it's serious. It's an issue. And when I read that story, I did think about that. The problem is okay. So great. Let's all move to I don't know where, Washington County or Lawrence County or someplace like that, and then drive into work every day, and then you're generating all the emissions that warm the environment or whatever. It is. There's no answer.
And with all the fracking going on in the surrounding area,
right? Who knows what their air quality will be like? Ask the people in Wyoming.
That's right. And in fact, it's true that now everybody was concerned about groundwater and blah blah blah. There are some people who say what we're going to find out is that fracking pollutes the air more than almost anything else. Whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, just a quick, Chris. I am so embarrassed.
What?
When I said Chris, I don't know if you're male or female.
Yes.
I've met this woman a million times.
You're the worst.
I am. No, I haven't. Chris. I know not. I will keep it in my head. And she didn't even get mad at me. At least she didn't tell me she was mad at me. She says, just to help you out, I'm the girl. Don't call yourself a girl, Chris. I'm the woman that came to Doug's service right out of wrist surgery. She came right from the hospital. Oh, God. And then she says, and 10 years ago this day, I was at a dance that Doug was DJing, and I had the opportunity to dance with him. And we talked the entire time about the JFK assassination. I can imagine Doug would tell you, and then the single bullet theory, of course. Chris says, it was the 40th anniversary. How I wish I could hear Doug and Cyril have a debate today on that. Caller, go ahead.
Hey, it's Michael K. from Polish Show.
Hey, Michael K.
Hey, you know what? Chris already brought this up, but you know what? A lot of our particulates in Pittsburgh are really not because of anything that we are doing.
Yeah.
It's because we are downwind from these Midwestern coal plants.
Yeah.
There's a list of the top most polluted cities in the world, and we're number 8 now, like Pittsburgh, Newcastle.
Yeah.
But they say it's not really anything that we're doing. It's because we are downwind from these Midwestern things that are just blowing, down here through the rivers.
Well, let's declare war on those jerks. You mean it's Ohio?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, it's like that's the thing. It's like you always hear like war on coal this, war on coal that.
Yeah.
Nobody ever talks about the flip side, which is like what coal is doing to the rest of us. I think because again, as Lynn says, it's a jobs paradigm, right? If these guys are out of work, it's a terrible thing, and it is for them. I get that, but again, I once heard somebody say that the biggest problem with economics is that the economists don't know how to subtract. They know how to add the value of the coal that these guys take out. They add the wages to the gross domestic product. It all looks good, but right. Nobody knows how to subtract out the cost of these things. If you look at it from an economic standpoint, like a great producer economically is somebody with terminal cancer going through a divorce because they create all kinds of economic activity for the doctors and the lawyers and everybody else.
And 2 households instead of one.
Exactly. Everybody's got to buy their own thing.
Yeah. No, it's so true. Michael,
the whole economics of energy is so complicated because whether you're dealing with the Middle East and the oil, or whether we're dealing with the fracking, or whether we're going to deal with the nuclear energy and nuclear plants, or whether you're going to deal with coal, no matter what we do to provide ourselves with energy is detrimental to our health, is going to kill us.
Yeah.
So the more energy we need, the more we're going to kill ourselves, and it doesn't matter what source it comes from. It all seems horrible.
Well, let me say 2 words to you then.
What?
Wind and solar.
Right, yeah, and when is that ever going to happen? Because all these huge corporations that have so much money invested in this other stuff that's going to kill you, they're not going to put money into wind because wind is free. They're not going to put money into the sun because the sun shines every day for free, and there's no way they're going to make money enough from that.
Well, you're right.
Mankind has long lived to destroy the sun.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's an old Mr. Burns routine there.
Was it?
Yeah. Here's what I would say on top of that is we're just going to have to figure out how to use less of it. And that's all you could do because, like you say, there's no free lunch with it, no matter how you do it. Even the wind and solar stuff, like some of the process that goes into making solar panels, not particularly sustainable. It is true that, and the wind turbines do.
Like little birds. Chinese kids in China making solar panels and iPads.
And using these kind of what they call them, the heavy earth. These rare earth materials or whatever, which are also highly difficult to get out of the extract from the soil. People have to use less, and it's easy to say, but it's really hard to do. I watched a movie that was part of the Three Rivers Film Festival, and it was about a guy in New York City who has taken it upon himself to single-handedly try to enforce. Apparently in New York they have a 3-minute rule that says you can't idle your car or truck engine for longer than 3 minutes. And this guy has basically spent years going around to people with a stopwatch, I guess, and then going up to him and say, we have this rule. And he's been spending all these years to try to get some enforcement of it. And it was this kind of, it wasn't a great film, but it was a great cause. And the next day it was cold after I watched this, and my wife went out and started the car up and was letting it idle in the damn driveway so it would be warm when she and the kid got into it. And I just thought, Did I say anything to my wife? No. I did not, because I wasn't in the car.
Odds are she's listening now, so now you have said something.
Yeah, well, that's my passive-aggressive approach to the argument, I guess.
Well, Michael, I don't know.
My takeaway from that is, Christopher, you should really start watching some better movies. Come on. That is the most ridiculous movie I've ever heard of. You watched that? Really?
I did. It was only an hour long. I did it for the company. I took one for the team, Mike. Come on.
Oh, my goodness.
All right.
Thanks for the call.
Bye. Okay, we got lots of emails here.
Oh, yeah. Go.
All right. Raymond. Lynn, I'm sort of in this business. The business of what? Polluting the air?
Air quality, maybe?
I believe that Allegheny County does not have the most polluted air around. We have the most accurate air monitors. They are state-of-the-art and very numerous. Your asthma is more likely to be a result of the highly unregulated air poison inside the building you're in.
Yeah, did I forget to mention that? We pipe in carcinogens to this studio just to...
Well, you know what? I often thought, because I most of the buildings I've worked in, you cannot open a window.
That's true, yes.
And so I've often thought that, my God, so this building was built, like one I used to work in, like in 1970 something. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the air I'm breathing is the same air that was here, I mean, there's no exchange, is there?
There is changing equipment, of course, yeah. It's not the dark ages here.
Okay. Believe
now,
me,
you may be breathing the air that Jim Quinn himself breathed 10 years ago. I don't know how that makes you feel.
Oh, God. Believe me, you would feel better if you had a window to open. Right,
yes.
right.
Yes.
And there are none. You can't open this. You can't open that. Why? They're afraid we'll jump out? Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, instead
good point,
of reading
Ray.
that recirculated crap.
And he didn't yell at me in this email, so that's a good one.
Okay. Oh, my God. Oh, that's too long. Is it?
Yeah, let's see.
Okay, Robbie Braddock. I don't know if you two talked about this. We'd like to give my 2 cents on the demise of Quinn and Rose from FM News Talk in Pittsburgh. After FM News Talk dismissed Quinn and Rose this week, I really miss Doug Hirth. Boy, his name comes up over and over again, and these idiots who run radio hate you. Killers! Now, more than ever before. He was a talk radio show host that truly united this city in many, many ways with his many stories of how he got into radio, his favorite tunes from the 50s, the doc, politics, regardless of with a side of laughter, to name a few. Regardless of what political aisle you come from, you have to admit that Hirth was a giant. And after the dismissal of Quinn and Rose, it's a real shame he's gone. Why? Why are you conflating those
Because
two?
I think, read the next graph here. I read
just
ahead.
because there's no doubt that he would be the perfect replacement. But it would have been one, if not the greatest talk show host on that station. It's true.
Talk radio can once again be about unity and not division.
Let me tell you, they wouldn't hire him because they don't get the kind of show he did. It's not in their business plan. Their business plan is to spout right-wing crap and disunite and rip people apart and make people angry and make people anxious. That's their business plan. The writer writes, yes, Quinn and Rose will be missed by most of Pittsburgh. What?
No.
Oh, that's not true.
Maybe where you live, buddy. I don't know.
Oh, man. Jesus. I don't know a soul who listens to that crap. But talk radio back in the day was all about personality, respect, and, at times, love. Well, let's not get sappy here. That's what Uncle Dougie was all about, and that's what talk radio has always been about. R.I.P. Uncle Dougie. I hope you're making God laugh by telling your stories about your hemorrhoid surgeries. I think God already knows all about his hemorrhoid surgeries. Oh, dear God in heaven. Okay. And the worst news today, I think I brought this up to you before and you didn't care, but now it's getting closer. I knew this would happen.
What's that?
The FCC and the FAA and they're looking at allowing people to use their cell phones in flight. And I have to tell you, if that happens, oh my God, I can't. Flying is now about the most horrific activity you can engage in. Uncomfortable, miserable. Can you imagine if you're sandwiched there in that middle seat without able to move your legs, your knees, and on both sides of you? Not only taking the armrests, they're now I would die. You know what? People will die. People will die.
Because they'll be killed, you mean?
Yeah, no, because there'll be homicides. People will kill.
I get the concern. I'm on a plane maybe once every other year. So,
jeez.
Yeah, I don't really go.
Well, I'm not even that much. I mean, I'm on a plane maybe 10 times a year.
Really? See, that's a lot to me.
Oh, my God. I can't. It would be unbearable.
Yeah, I could see where that would
And you can see where the flight attendants union, they came out, they said, what? I mean, as it is, their job is hell. It would be that much worse. This is insane. This is insane. They've asked for public comment. Man, are you going to get an earful?
Be interesting to see what the telecommunications industry
how much clout they
contributes to Washington politicians vis-a-vis the airlines or whoever. Are the airlines necessarily in favor of it?
I would imagine the airlines are not, because it will make things very difficult. No one doesn't fly because they can't talk while the flight is up. So there is no doubt. I know pilots don't want it. They think there'll be trouble. The flight attendants don't want it. A whole bunch of passengers don't want it.
This could be a really dull question to get into, especially at the end of the program, but why is this an FCC thing and not an FAA thing? I mean, don't they get to weigh in on this? If it's
I would think
airplane?
The FAA would too, but right now it's the FCC who they're the first ones. They would say it's okay. But you would think the FAA.
I could see the FCC saying, from the pure standpoint in which we look at it in terms of signal strength and whatever, it might be okay. And then maybe the FAA saying, yeah, technologically, yes, but but no.
Oh, my God.
We shan't be doing that. Anyway.
Okay. And we didn't get to Judge Schwab.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
He's an idiot, isn't he?
He's
a crazy person.
He is not a particularly well-regarded judge. I don't think,
in any way.
Yeah.
And he's injudicious, and he's a jerk, and doesn't matter. Never mind. He again made an incorrect ruling, and we'll just let it go at that. Okay.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you,
good to be here.
Chris. Thank everybody.
Have a good weekend.
And yes, have a great weekend. Talk at you again Monday.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.